Have you ever wondered about the darkest day in the history of journalism? The Maguindanao Massacre, also known as the Ampatuan Massacre, is a chilling episode that sent shockwaves around the globe. It stands out as a stark reminder of the perils faced by journalists worldwide, particularly in politically volatile regions. This horrifying event unfolded in the picturesque landscape of Maguindanao, nestled in the heart of the Philippines. A place where the vibrant culture and the warmth of its people are juxtaposed with a tumultuous political climate. The massacre was more than just a random act of violence, it was a calculated assault on the very pillars of democracy, freedom of speech, and the press. This tragic incident not only shook the nation but also raised questions about the state of media freedom across the globe. Now you may ask, how did such a heinous act transpire? November 23, 2009 started as any other day. The early morning sun rose over Maguindanao, a region in the southern Philippines, casting a golden hue on the landscape. A convoy began its journey, carrying family members of a local political candidate along with several journalists. Their mission? To file a certificate of candidacy for Ismael Maguindanao, who was challenging a powerful political dynasty. As the convoy weaved through the quiet countryside, they approached the town of Ampatuan. Suddenly, they were met with an unexpected blockade. A group of about 100 armed men stopped the convoy. With no warning, no explanation, the travelers were abducted and their vehicles commandeered. The normalcy of the morning was shattered, replaced with a chilling air of dread. The convoy was led to a remote hillside, a location away from prying eyes. What happened next was a horrific blur of violence that would send shockwaves around the world. 58 people, including 32 journalists and media workers, were brutally massacred. The hillside was turned into a gruesome mass grave, an unthinkable act of violence that would forever scar the landscape and the psyche of the nation. This wasn't just a random act of violence, it was a calculated move designed to send a message of fear and dominance. The Ampatuan family, who had held power in the region for decades, was allegedly behind this heinous act. The massacre was a brutal assertion of their power, a clear message to anyone who dared to challenge them. And so, under the searing tropical sun, the day of doom unfolded. A day that began with the promise of a political change ended in a terrifying display of ruthless power. This was an attack not just on individuals, but on the very pillars of democracy, freedom of speech, and political participation. A day that started with a political procession ended in a bloodbath. The Maguindanao Massacre serves as a stark reminder of the depths to which power can corrupt and the devastating consequences that can follow when it goes unchecked. The aftermath of the massacre was as horrifying as the event itself. It was a scenario that sent shockwaves across the globe, sparking an international outcry. Governments, human rights organizations, and media institutions worldwide condemned the massacre, demanding immediate action and justice for the victims. The sheer scale of the tragedy was overwhelming, and it was clear that the investigation would be a monumental task. The Philippine government was under tremendous pressure to respond. In the face of mounting international criticism, they launched an extensive investigation. This was no ordinary crime scene. The investigators were dealing with a mass grave, a chilling testament to the brutal violence that had taken place. The process of collecting evidence was painstaking and emotionally draining. Every piece of evidence, every bullet casing, every personal belonging of the victims had to be meticulously cataloged and preserved. The investigation faced numerous challenges. Witnesses were terrified to come forward, fearing retaliation. The culture of impunity that had enabled such a heinous act was pervasive, and breaking through that wall of fear was an uphill battle. But slowly, testimonies began to trickle in, shedding light on the gruesome events of that fateful day. As the investigation unfolded, the pieces of the puzzle started to fit together. The evidence was damning. It pointed to a powerful political clan, the Ampatuans, as the masterminds behind the massacre. The charges were severe. Multiple counts of murder were filed against members of the clan, marking a significant step towards justice. But it was far from over. The accused didn't go down without a fight. They used their influence and wealth to delay the proceedings, filing numerous motions and appeals. It was a stark reminder of the deep-seated corruption and power imbalance that had allowed this tragedy to occur in the first place. The wheels of justice began to turn, but not without resistance. The Maguindanao Massacre had exposed the dark underbelly of Philippine politics. The path to justice was fraught with obstacles, but the fight was far from over. For the victims and their families, the pursuit of justice was a beacon of hope in the darkness, a testament to their resilience and unwavering spirit. Justice is not always swift, and in this case it was agonizingly slow. The path to retribution was a tortuous one. It was a marathon, not a sprint, a journey that tested the limits of patience and resilience. The trial, a behemoth of legal complexity, took its course over a decade, making it one of the longest in the annals of Philippine jurisprudence. Each day was a battle, filled with countless delays and setbacks. Proceedings were postponed, witnesses were hesitant, and evidence was painstakingly scrutinized. Sometimes it felt as if justice was just a mirage, forever shimmering on the horizon but never within reach. Yet in the face of these challenges, the pursuit of truth never waned. Lawyers worked tirelessly, poring over documents and building a case that was as solid as it was damning. Witnesses, despite their fears, stepped forward to share their testimonies, breathing life into the otherwise sterile courtroom proceedings. A decade later, a verdict was finally handed down. The gavel fell, and with it came the long-awaited sigh of relief. The perpetrators were found guilty, their crimes laid bare for all to see. It was a momentous day, a victory for justice and a testament to the power of perseverance. Justice was served, but at a cost that is impossible to quantify. The road to justice was long and fraught with obstacles, but in the end, the truth prevailed, echoing a powerful message: no crime, no matter how powerful the perpetrator, can ever truly escape the long arm of the law. The Maguindanao Massacre is a stark reminder of the dangers that journalists face in their pursuit of truth. This harrowing event, unraveling the layers of corruption and political violence, underscores the immense risks involved in unveiling the truth. It served as a wake-up call, not only for the Philippines but the global journalistic community, illuminating the harsh realities of press freedom. As we remember this dark day, we must recommit to protecting press freedom, for the price of silence is far too high.